But you could tell that, like, see these, like that.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this public session, July 17th, 2024. Mayor Porco, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Call Mr. Bacon. Here. Mr. Baoki.
Present.
Mr. DeCosta.
Present.
Mr. Erbaldinger.
Present.
Mr. Lawrence.
Present.
Mr. Watkins.
Here.
President Martin.
Here.
Porco. Here. Present.
Thank you. Under my report, I would like to indicate that an executive session was held prior to this meeting on legal and personnel issues, pardon me. But since we have so many residents here, I'd like to read a few items into the minutes. I want to highlight an organizational activity that helps to shape our community and directly affects our residents and neighboring communities. The Forest Hills Farmers Market, managed by the Late Bloomers Garden Club, asks for food donations every second Friday of the month, which benefits the Turtle Creek Food Bank. The project is called Harvest for the Hungry, and on those days, patrons can either donate cash for food purchases or donate produce directly. This past Friday, over $350 in cash was raised, as well as a large variety of food donations. It was one of the biggest Harvest for the Hungry days ever. The food is taken directly to the Turtle Creek Food Bank once the farmers market closes at 7 o'clock, and that's every Friday. The Forest Hills Farmers Market appreciates everyone's patronage and thanks you for your support. It's good to see so many members of our constituents in attendance this evening. Over the past few years, this council has worked diligently to improve safety, promote inclusiveness, preserve our natural resources, and improve services. Much of our work goes unnoticed most of the time, since most of the meetings are not well attended by the public. Nevertheless, we make sure that the interests and well-being of our residents are foremost in our deliberations. I'd like to mention a few things that have occurred in the borough. In terms of safety, fencing was added to 3 of our playgrounds to protect small children from running onto the surrounding roads or other nearby hazards. Several alleys have been paved, and additional alleys have been included on our paving schedule this year. These alleys were in deplorable condition and were neglected for years. We are taking measures to reduce speeding through various traffic calming measures, including the use of speed humps, reduced speed limits, and driver feedback signs. The community pool has received a number of updates and improved maintenance, including air conditioning, which I think at this point we're still working on. Okay, but it's in the works. The Westinghouse Lodge is completing a major renovation with approved amenities, and in cooperation with the Forest Hills Community Alliance, a band shell is being erected on the Westinghouse Lodge grounds, which will be used for entertainment for years to come. And we've also received a grant to upgrade the playground equipment and facilities in the main park. This brings me to my final topic for the evening. Council has asked me to address some insinuations made by residents over the last several meetings that council acts in secret and other misinformed statements. All our meetings are in accordance with Pennsylvania municipal rules and are organized, just, professional, transparent, and in keeping with the letter of law, including the Sunshine Act. Any actions before council are discussed with our solicitors to ensure we are legally as well as ethically correct. Recently, a number of ordinances regarding appointed committees were updated and approved. This occurred over a span of 4 months, with our solicitor providing drafts to all council members and encouraging feedback. Those council members that are appointed as liaisons to the various committees may have discussed the minor changes with those committee chairs and members, but given that some travel, that's not always available. Despite this very public process and the minor changes made, some of the activity was mischaracterized. Also, the recent discussions on the use of the Borough Building is a case in point. This space available, namely the Chamber Annex, generally referred to as the Community Room, has been under review to determine the appropriateness for use by groups other than council-appointed committees. This is in consideration of all applicable laws pertaining to the use of municipal buildings. Council is now working towards an equitable policy for use of our borough buildings in conjunction with our solicitors. The final decision will occur in due time after all options are evaluated. I encourage our residents to attend our meetings and read the minutes to see the work we do on your behalf. I understand that in addition to this, when this building was being erected, there were, I believe, 8 public meetings. But if something isn't wrong, you usually don't show up here. So unless you're checking the minutes or checking the website, you don't know what's been going on. It was the same thing with the culvert project. People were calling us up. Why are you letting them cut trees down? Can't you stop PennDOT? Who can stop PennDOT? So we had the same issues. So I just wanted to read that in. Thank you. May we have the mayor's report, please?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm gonna give my mayor's report, and then I was asked to provide an update on Forest Hills Community Alliance at that time. So if you want to throw it back.
Okay, thank you.
No problem at all. All right, so Sunday, June 30th, I was happy to attend our very first Pride event that was held here in the borough. I was held just outside here in the parking lot. And so I wanted to just take a moment to thank the Forest Hills Pride Committee for organizing that and putting it together. It was really well attended, especially in light of the fact that it was a last minute change due to weather. And still by my count, we had well over like 150 attendees, which was phenomenal. And just speaking for a moment personally, I was asked to address the attendees, and I made it a point to highlight a resolution and ordinance that was passed here last year by the majority of the members of this council. Basically just making sure that we welcomed members of the LGBT community and made sure that they felt welcome and safe and protected in Forest Hills. And it was extremely, I guess, emotional to kind of see some of the reaction that I experienced firsthand with residents who were tearful and thankful and just went out of their way to kind of stop and thank us for showing them that level of support and making them feel welcome in our community. So next year, you know, they're talking about having a parade. I don't know, but bottom line is that it was a phenomenal event, and I was very proud to have participated in it. And just hats off to the Forest Hills Pride Committee for doing such a great job on its inaugural event. July 4th, we had Community Day, and despite the weather's best efforts, people still turned out en masse. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank the Forest Hills Civic Association, the Forest Hills Police Department, Forest Hills Volunteer Fire Department, Woodland Hills EMS, all of whom showed up just to support and kind of engage with the community. It's kind of a little old fashioned, but it's just, it's wonderful to kind of have neighbors come together and just celebrate Independence Day and celebrate our community, in the main park. And so, just a big thank you to the Civic Association for everything that they do every year to put that together. Last Wednesday, myself and Chief Williams attended the annual end of year Rotary picnic. In July is when they basically change over the officers of the Forest Hills Rotary. And so they graciously gave a donation to both the Forest Hills Police Department and the Forest Hills Volunteer Fire Department. I'm sure Chuck will talk a little bit about the donation and where that money goes to, but I know we always appreciate any donation that's made to public safety, and Rotary is always kind of a standout organization in that regards. And last night was the Forest Hills Swim Team Senior Night, which is an annual it's an annual event that basically recognizes the seniors, which is crazy. My own son was a senior last night. Started with the swim team when he was 5, and it's hard to imagine 13 years have already passed by with swim team. But just for anybody listening out there on YouTube, anybody with neighbors who have children, I highly encourage you to get them involved in swim team. There's a camaraderie and an absolute bond that will run throughout the rest of their lives. One of the members of the Civic Association was a member of the swim team growing up in his community, then became a coach, and he was just telling me at community day how he attended a wedding for one of his best friends who was on the swim team with him growing up in Forest Hills in Italy. Like, that's how long those relationships last. So it's a great organization for anybody with children or neighbors with children to get involved in. I highly recommend it. And I just want to take a moment to address an issue that came before my desk. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about this on the record. So last month we had some ordinances pass, and there was some concern about the involvement of the various committees that were involved. And so what I decided to do was to veto those ordinances, but I want to make it clear why I did that. So one, I want to make sure that first of all, I want to put it on record. I think council worked extremely hard and diligently on the revision of the ordinances in play, and basically tried to bring them in line with in some instances, like what state code was saying, et cetera, right? The only concern that was brought to my attention was that the people who sat on these committees did not have enough time to review the actual language that was proposed. And so in deciding to veto, in no way was that a reflection on the work that was done or the level of effort required or even the actual content. It was more about affording the people who sat on these committees and get an opportunity to actually review them and provide some feedback, which from my understanding has already occurred in a few short weeks. And my understanding is that we will most likely be overriding the veto, and council will take that vote tonight, I assume. But I just wanted to be clear that, in no way was this a negative reflection on the work that was done or the people who did the work in terms of revising the ordinances. It was more about making sure that people who were impacted by these changes or the changes in language had an opportunity to review it. And from what I understand, everybody has had that opportunity, and no changes even need to be made. And so I think that is a testament, in fact, to the work that was done by members of council. So with that, I'm going to wrap up my report, and thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor Porco. But I would like to say, if you didn't get a chance to hear Mayor Porco's speech at Pride, it did move some of the attendees to tears. And a gentleman, Michael, said he's not living here right now, but he wants to move to Forest Hills. So Michael, if you're listening, we have plenty of nice houses for you. Thank you, Mayor Porco. May we have the tax collector's report, please, Mr. Abrams?
Yes, June collections came in fairly light, but overall the borough is sitting at about 89% of budgeted collections for the year. So we are still definitely on track to meet our budget for this.
Thank you. Chief Williams, may we have your report, please?
Thank you, President Martin. As the mayor spoke of, the Rotary Club gave us a very generous donation this year, again, as they have for many years. And say that we appreciate that, we certainly do. And as I spoke to them at the picnic the other day, we talked about where the funding that we get from them goes. And a lot of it, in essence, goes to things like the hayride to help us support that. We have a program with the Forest Hills Preschool where we bring some things down to them on several occasions throughout the year. And that's the kind of money that we use for those things as well. And again, anytime we receive funding like that in donation form, we certainly want to put it to the best use we can. And it really, what we want to do is put it back into the community where it'll be appreciated, and we'll certainly be there to, you know, give them what we can do and help them with what we can in many ways. So secondly, I just wanted to let council know we were able to get a grant from the Allegheny County Council. I guess they had some money left over from body camera availability from last year, and I was able to make contact with them, and we need new body cameras. And as you know, those are very important use of technology these days, because it's always nice to have a little picture behind what actually happens. So they were willing to provide us with a grant for $28,000 to help us to pay for this overall package that we need to purchase from Motorola for our new body cameras. So again, I'd like to thank the Rotary for their donation, and I'd certainly like to thank the Allegheny County Council for their giving us a grant. And I mean, they did it fairly quickly. So again, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Williams. Mayor Porco, Forest Hills Community Alliance update, please.
Yes, just a couple of brief announcements. So on August 20th, the Forest Hills Community Alliance will be meeting with Evolve EA, which is a third-party consulting firm that we've contracted with. And the purpose of that workshop is essentially to formalize a couple of different concepts that were brought up during the public meetings that were held with members of the public of Forest Hills Borough. And I believe we had a series of 6 meetings starting in February through May, I believe. And so the idea there is to basically kind of have a workshop session where we're going to finalize our 3 bigger projects and then place them before the community for review. The following meeting will be held a month later on September 17th, where members of the entire Forest Hills community will be invited to review those projects that the Forest Hills Community Alliance will bring forth. And so that will be held, I believe, at the Westinghouse Rec Center, if I'm not mistaken. And that will be on September the 17th. And then lastly, the band shell project is almost complete. And we are targeting Labor Day weekend for its grand reveal. Senator Jay Costa, who's also a Forest Hills resident, is I guess a member of the board of directors of the Pittsburgh Symphony. And so we're actually working on having Pittsburgh Symphony come for a concert for the Forest Hills residents on the grand reveal of the band shell. And I was talking earlier today with Council President Martin about potentially hosting a collaborative reveal of both the renovations of the Westinghouse Rec Center along with the band shell, and doing that in one collaborative event where people can come and kind of check out the work that's been recently completed or in the process of being completed at the Rec Center as well as the band shell. So that's kind of the update from Forest Hills Community Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Porco. Chief Corella is not available, but part of the agenda has his report. The solicitor's report.
No public report.
Thank you. The Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority report. Ms. Bras provided the following. There were 5 breaks: Avenue A, Marion, Atlantic, Greensburg, Pike, Bryn Mawr, all repaired with site restoration to follow. Moving on to the other committees. Mr. Bacon, do you have anything to report?
Nothing for Connect.
Let me see here. Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Bioki, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Nothing for mine either.
Thank you. Mr. Erbaldinger, anything?
Nothing to report.
Okay, let me see. Okay, if there's nothing else on that, let's move to public comment. At this time, citizens may address council on any issue, whether appearing on today's agenda or not. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Forest Hills will be permitted to address council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before council, who may speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Citizens are asked to use the microphone at the speaker stand, clearly state their name and address for the record, and keep comments brief and to the point. Please spell the name for the record. Speakers are reminded that council uses these comment periods as opportunities to gather information and not to respond directly to concerns raised. Information gathered will not be discussed at the business meeting, but instead will be referred by the council president to the appropriate committee for review and discussion at the next committee meeting. Is anyone coming up for public comment?
This is a piece of common knowledge that we cannot just quickly and simply change. Going into this campaign season, which finds, regardless of whether you're on the right, left, or in the middle of the significant and current political divide, we have a great deal of very serious work to do. We need to be able to do this without being concerned that a Forest Hills citizen, an elected official, a candidate, or a campaign staffer might be knocking on an empty borough building door on the fourth Tuesday night of the coming months while we are meeting elsewhere. Please consider this and allow us to finish this campaign season using the community room as our meeting place while you continue to study the issue. This will allow us to serve the residents of Forest Hills that we represent in the most positive ways. Thank you for your time and consideration on this matter.
Thank you. Is anyone else coming? Thank you then. Public comment is over and we will move to the borough business. first motion is to move to enter the mayor's objections regarding the veto of ordinances 1118, 1120, 1121, and 1122 into the minutes of this meeting. Do I have a second? Can somebody make a motion?
I move.
Thank you. Okay.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Now, we will have a voice vote.
No, I have a question,
Any
comment.
questions?
Question, yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm actually wondering what we're going to vote on this, because I believe the mayor sent an email that should be already in the record. Can I ask the solicitor, what the yes and no actually means on that motion? Because I have no clue, to be honest.
Yeah, just to explain, the Borough Code requires in a process like this where the mayor has vetoed and it will come back to Borough Council for consideration, that the mayor's objections be recorded into the record. So this has to happen for us to be in compliance with the Borough Code. So
Basically, if you would say no.
it's administrative. It's basically administrative. This has to be approved.
Kind of, all right.
It's just that these are being entered into the minutes, I understand. Okay, does anyone else have any comments? Mr. Bacon?
I would like to thank Mayor Porco for providing an additional checkpoint to the process of updating these ordinances, and also thank the volunteer committees for consulting with council and Mr. Abrams over the last month to resolve concerns about this. I was one of the members of council who wished to delay the process to give them additional time to review, and I believe everyone is satisfied with the result. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, are we ready then for a voice vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. I have a motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1118, which restated the rules and regulations of the Environmental Advisory Council. Do we have a motion?
Move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Comments first.
Can we comment? Yeah.
I just would like to comment on this too, since I was one of the persons who wanted to buy us some time. And like the mayor stated, the ordinances are fine. I simply wanted to buy some time for people to actually read those motions. And as far as I know, I only heard that some people had some clarification questions, which the borough manager clarified. So that doesn't seem like all the committees seem to be okay with those motions. Now, I also want to state for the record that in executive session, when our solicitor was presenting the drafts of those motions, I asked the council members, can we share those drafts with the respective committees? And I was denied. So I just want to say for the record, I tried to make it as early public as possible, and I was denied. So we only had 2 days of time between the chairs getting those motions and the council meeting last month. And I appreciate the mayor to veto it, because now we got the month, which is pretty much all I was going to ask for, to table it by a month. So I'm satisfied and I'm okay with that now.
Anyone else? Mr.
Yeah,
DeCrest?
I just want to, I wasn't here at the last business meeting when this occurred, so I just want to echo Mr. Bacon and Mr. Erbeldinger's sentiments. I'm pleased with the time that the committees have been given. I think we've been able to sort out some questions, save a few minor issues. And so, moving forward, I, wanted to put on the record why I would vote to override the veto as well.
Anyone else? Okay. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call on the motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1118. Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next motion is to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1120, which restated the rules and regulations of the Planning Commission of the Borough of Forest Hills. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment, please? Mr. DeCrosta.
I just wanted to let everyone know that we did have a question from this committee. It's a minor question. I spoke to Mr. Abrams about it today. They're concerned about the number of people on the committee and that we grandfather this new policy of 5 people from 7 people as people roll off the committee. Seth said that he can handle that administratively, so they seem to be pleased.
Thank you. Anyone else? May we have a roll call vote, please?
On the motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1120, Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki, Mr. DeCrosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1121, which restated the rules and regulations of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
On the motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1121, Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCrosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Lastly, motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1122, which restated the rules and regulations of the Shade, Tree, and Shrub Committee. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment?
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Pelkey.
It's my understanding that there was some request to drop the shade from the title.
Yes, I understand there was some confusion on this. That's because the members of the Shade, Tree, and Shrub Committee are at such a high level that anyone that has understood plants or done any study knows that there's trees and shrubs and plants that you put only in the shade and trees and plants and shrubs that you put in the sun. But what they were looking at was they thought that shade meant only a shade tree rather than that trees give shade. So that was one of the questions. Mr. Bacon?
I think there was also an issue where it didn't include and shrub. At one point, I think it was just shade tree committee at some point of
Oh.
documents. I could be incorrect on that, but
No,
yeah, I
not
believe
sure
everybody's
either, yeah.
satisfied now.
Well, we've added shrub back, so we're okay then. Are there any other comments? Okay, I forget where we're at. Okay,
Second.
we're ready for a roll call vote. Thank you.
Okay. On the motion to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 1122, Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. DeCrosta,
Yes.
Mr. Erbaldinger.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you, everyone. We'll move on to the committee reports.
Before we move on, may I ask a question? Or
Is it
should I-
regarding the motion?
Yeah, the last motions.
Go ahead.
So this means now we can move forward with the policies. We don't have to advertise again and we can work with the solicitor to get everything settled. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, then, moving on to operations and policy. I understand, Mr. Bioki, you're going to take that because sometimes Mr. Lawrence's feed goes in and out.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 4 motions this evening. The first, I move to approve the minutes from the June 19, 2024 council meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any comment? Okay, may we have a voice vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
I move to approve resolution 1272 as follows. Resolution of the Borough of Forest Hills, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, supporting a restrictive ban on single-use plastic bags.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments?
I just want,
Mr. Erbaldinger?
we talked about it in committee, but for the residents who haven't had a chance to listen to it, it doesn't mean a ban in Forest Hills per se. It just means that we are supporting whatever the county is going to do. So if the county is doing a ban on plastic bags, Forest Hills will follow suit. So it's like a supportive motion. It's not a motion for us as Forest Hills yet.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let's do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I move to appoint Andy Lewis to the Shade Tree and Shrub Committee for a term effective through February 28th, 2027.
There a second?
Second.
Any comment? Mr. Bacon?
Speaking towards both candidates tonight in general, I've been attending the last several tree and shrub committee meetings at which they have also been present and engaged. And I think they are, in my opinion, qualified with expertise in local government, community engagement, and horticulture.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let's have a voice vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries.
Frank Nakata to the Shade Tree and Shrub Committee for a term effective through February 28th, 2027.
There a
Second.
second? Thank you. Any additional comment? Anyone else? Thank you. Let's have a voice vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Finally, under the general report, again, this committee and the Borough Council encourages residents to sign up for Savvy Citizen. It's our way of getting information out to our residents, so we would encourage that. And that concludes ops and policy.
Thank you, Mr. Bioki. May we have the Finance Committee report, Mr. Erbaldinger, please?
thank you, President Martin. I have a motion, move to approve payment of bills for the month of June in the following amount: 1,004,218.74. The details can be read in the agenda.
Second.
Any comments? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
My next motion, move to approve payment of the June 2024 bill to Siemens for 164,578.65 from the escrow fund under the contract between the borough and Siemens, pending completion of corrections to the air conditioned units at the Forest Hills Pool Lodge.
A second.
Any comments? Mr. Erbaldinger?
Yeah, it says pending corrections. Do we have any update on that?
We do not yet.
Okay, so it's still pending, I guess. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Bacon?
Do we have a cutoff date for payment versus the correction of the air conditioning?
No. We can hold as long as necessary.
Thank you.
Anyone else? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Motion carries.
Thank you. My next motion, move to approve the contract among the borough, GRB Law and George Tax Service, Inc. for the collection of delinquent taxes and fees to the borough of Forest Hills effective February 1st, 2024.
Do we have any comment, please? May we have a voice vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Motion carries.
My last motion, motion to authorize the borough administration to address the borough's delinquent refuse accounts as follows. Number one, account holders with delinquent account payments due for services from 2014 and earlier will be totally and completely forgiven. Number two, account holders with delinquent account payments due for services from 2015 through 2021 shall have all penalties and fees forgiven and shall be permitted to pay the face value of the debt for 30 calendar days from the date of notification, with penalties and interest to accrue if face value payment is not received or a payment plan is not agreed to by the borrower. And number three, account holders with delinquent account payments due for services from 2022 forward will be billed without any modifications.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? A voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
That
opposed?
Motion carries.
That concludes finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Erbaldinger. Moving on to Borough Property, Mr. Bacon, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve the contract between the borough and the Turtle Creek Valley COG for code enforcement services effective August 1st, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Any comment? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
I move to approve resolution 1273, approving application to the state's Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program for a grant of $509,893 to enhance Coke Park.
Second.
Any comment? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Thank you. In my general report, the Westinghouse Lodge is in its final phases and should be completed by the end of July. And the band shell from the Forest Hills Community Alliance is also in progress with some vertical construction at this point. And also Horhut, who is the borough's new tree services contractor for this year, has been going through the tree list from November 2023. And as of June 30th, they've removed over 14 dead or dying trees, various saplings, and have pruned dead wood on 7 other trees. Most pruning will need to wait until the fall for the health of the tree. However, there are a few emergent situations that will require some early season trimming or removal for safety that are coming up. And that concludes borough property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Mr. DeCosta, did you have anything for planning and zoning?
I have nothing to report this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. DeCosta. We'll move on to Public Works Committee. Mr. Watkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to approve the hiring/promotion of Michael Smith as the Public Works Director effective July 18th, 2024, in accordance with the CBA Borough and the borough's non-uniform employees.
Second.
Any comment? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Move to-
opposed?
Motion carries.
To approve Resolution 1274, authorizing the manager and LSSE to apply for a multimodal grant of $500,000 for the 2024 DCED multimodal application period.
Second.
Comments?
Yes. I would just
Mr.
like to
Erbaldinger.
ask the solicitor, whoever is qualified to translate all those acronyms in plain language. Maybe you can.
Well, LSSE is our engineer. DCED is the Department of Community and Economic Development, which actually provides the oversight of municipalities. And every year they have a multimodal grant where they're looking at projects that include multiple modes of transportation, whether it be pedestrian, bicycle, mass transport, or other roadway construction pieces.
So it's roadway. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Anybody else? May we have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Last item for Public Works is our engineers report.
Okay, can you guys hear me good enough on this?
Yes.
You got me now? Okay. So going through the public works portion of the engineers report, so kind of hitting some updates, slash highlights here. With regards to the borough's GIS system, LC is coordinating with the manager, on acquisition of the create the use. And I do believe there is a meeting scheduled for August 1st, I believe, between LSC and the manager to basically kind of try to get that completed. So the GIS should be up and running soon. The sound study, we are currently following up with a consultant that was expected to arrive a couple weeks ago and has not. So we are following up with the consultant to see the status of the report of that sound study. For the 2024 road review and priority project. So the pre-construction meeting was held. We currently are scheduled tomorrow morning to mark the roads out with the contractor. So we would anticipate paving is going to begin within the next couple weeks once that's marked out. And the area of Braddock Road from the emergency sewer repair is going to be change ordered in as part of that project, just a small spot from a sewer repair made. Moving on here, Ardmore Boulevard and Avenue A storm sewer repairs. So those past bids were rejected. A rebid is currently in progress. The bid opening for that is scheduled for August 5th. There were some cost saving techniques used on that to try to reduce the cost to make it a more palatable bid. And so the borough can hopefully get that stormwater work done. The Watt Lane trash rack, that work was all complete, so that will be coming off the engineer's report for next month. The Woodside Road storm sewer replacement. So that is currently out to bid, and that bid opening is tentatively scheduled for August 5th. And then just touching base on the fiscal year 25 appropriations, you guys did get forwarded to the next step. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as that $500,000 request for the dual chamber manhole project continues to move forward. Moving on here, I believe these items are still under this. So the MS4 items. So just a quick update on the borough's annual MS4 project. We are still reviewing this because there's the easiest way to put it is that right now within the borough, there isn't a very easy single project that would help satisfy the MS4 requirements. So LSC is trying its best to basically kind of manage to essentially kind of put a couple small things together under one package that would make the most sense for the annual project. Moving on to the sanitary sewers. So the Alcosan Grow application was submitted. The two construction projects that were under that Grow application, the phase 2 consent order project, that bid package is essentially 90% complete as part of that Grow application, and that bid opening is tentatively projected for next year. The Alcosan regionalization, that is also approximately 90% complete. We're tentatively expecting a bid opening for September. Moving down a couple more items here, the Ashley Court sewer rehab that was funded by the PA Small Water and Sewer Grant the borough received. That is also out to bid and will have its bid opening on August 5th as well. So there will be 3 bid projects opening that day for consideration at the August meeting. And that is just about it for one more item here. So the sanitary lining that was authorized by the borough for Ardmore Boulevard down by Braddock Road, the contractor will be in on July 29th to perform that lining work. And that concludes the engineer's report under this category.
Madam President, that is everything for Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Bioki.
Thank you, Madam President. Under general report, just a couple of items. The committee did receive written reports from VFD and EMS. Next item, if there is any engineering report, is there anything under public safety?
I'm just gonna do this. This is easier. So for that, so I believe the updates I had were the speed analysis was provided to the borough for their consideration. And then a couple of parking evaluations for Pacific and Sumner. Those markouts are currently in progress.
Thank you. The final item is that the committee approved the prioritized placement of 2 speed humps on Fairfax Road. The expected installation is by 7/31/24. I just want to note that speed humps are also to be placed around approaches to Bright Park and Ryan Glen as previously approved. We will determine a time frame in consultation with the borough manager. That concludes public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Bioki. Is there any new business? Then I will adjourn the meeting by acclamation without objection. Thank you.
Yes. For more